going to start by gathering all of our vegetables. We're going to go with 1 white onion. No, that's a yellow onion, sorry. 1 green bell pepper, 1 jalapeno pepper, some celery and carrots, and later we're going to crush in some fresh garlic. So the first thing we're going to do is wash and trim all of our vegetables, peel our carrots, and get everything ready to chop. Okay, our onion, pretty standard procedure. We're going to cut off the top, toss that somewhere, cut it in half, then we're going to cut lengthwise down, turn it, cut it lengthwise the other way, and that should give us some pretty nice sized chunks. Okay, and we're just going to add everything to a bowl, and that'll be that. Our pepper is going to be a little different. We're going to cut into it and roll our knife along the side of it until we get kind of this long, flat pepper shape. We're going to take that, cut that into strips, and then we're going to take those strips, turn them sideways, cut it again, and that should give us, again, a nice size diced. And then we're going to add that to our bowl. And our celery, you guessed it, we're going to cut them lengthwise into some really thin strips. Turn that, cut it down the side, and again, that'll give us a nice size diced. And we're going to add that, again, you guessed it, to our bowl. Okay, our jalapenos, I'm going to cut off the top, cut off the bottom, and then I'm going to cut it down the center, and I'm going to try to remove as much of those seeds as possible because that's where the heat is. And if you want things a little bit more spicier, of course, you can leave some of those seeds or most of those seeds. Me, I'm going to toss it. And if you've been paying attention, you probably know what's next. We're going to cut these into a dice. So we're going to cut them down the middle into strips, turn them, and cut them into a nice fine dice. Add them to our bowl, and we're almost done with our chopping. Okay, we're almost done with our vegetables. We're going to get this carrot done and out of the way. We're going to peel it, and then we're going to bring it over to the sink, give it a nice wash under some cold water. Okay, and how many of you thought you knew what was coming? You thought we were going to dice these. I mean, I guess you could if you want, but I'm going to shred mine. So I'm going to take a cheese grater with the largest grate on them, and I'm just going to shred these until I get a nice fine shred, which I think is good. I think it's going to add a little bit more texture to this, and I think it's going to help them also cook quicker. All right, now let's talk beans. Eating beans, right? Do you love them? Do you hate them? Do you put them in your chili? Me personally, I love beans in my chili. So I'm going to add 1 can of Roman beans and 1 can of dark kidney beans. And the reason for those two is pretty much that's all I had on hand. I mean, if I had preference of what I would put in, I'd probably just put in 2 cans of kidney beans. All right, now the moment we've all been waiting for, we're gonna start cooking. I got a heavy Dutch oven pot over medium heat, and I'm gonna throw in my ground beef. Now here, I just got some regular 80-20 ground beef. You can use whatever you want. I think 80-20 works best for everything, so that's what I got. Okay, pretty simple. Take a large, heavy wooden spoon or whatever you got. We're gonna start crumbling that meat as it browns up. I'm gonna generously season this with some salt and pepper. And I'm gonna add in some red pepper flakes, some crushed red pepper flakes. Yeah, I know I threw out all those jalapeno seeds and I'm adding crushed red pepper flakes. I don't know what to tell you, I'm weird. And we're gonna continue cooking, browning, and crumbling our meat until it is all brown, no pink. Okay, once our ground beef is all the way cooked through, smelling beautiful and looking amazing, we are going to drain it. Now, I know I said in other videos with ground beef that you don't have to drown the ground beef because fat is flavor, but I grow older and I grow wiser, and I'm just going to drain some of this meat off because I can't stand looking at all that fat and grease. Okay, so once all of our ground beef is drained, we're going to add in our vegetables, our onions, peppers, celery, carrots, and we're going to sprinkle on a little bit more salt and pepper, and we're going to cook this until tender. Okay, now once our vegetables are starting to get tender, we're going to crush in a couple cloves of garlic. I'm probably going to use 3 or 4 or maybe even 5, depending on how I feel, depending on how my mood is. If I want more garlic, I'm definitely going to put more garlic. But I think the standard is probably like 3 or 4. Okay, and once all of our crushed garlic is in, we're gonna stir this and we're gonna cook this down for about a minute until that garlic is nice and fragrant. Then we're gonna add 6 ounces of tomato paste, and we're gonna cook that down for about 2 to 3 minutes to get that raw edge off and to evolve those flavors even more. It's about building flavors on top of flavors. After a couple minutes, we're going to add 4 cups of beef broth. And no, you don't have to use the beef broth. If you have water, you can use water. If you have beer, you can use beer. If you have vegetable broth, you get the idea. We're going to give this a good stir and scrape up any loose bits on the bottom. That's flavor. All right, guys, now let's have a heart-to-heart. You can go out and buy all the ingredients and make chili seasoning. You probably even have all of them in your cupboard already. I mean, I've done it before. I have plenty of videos on this channel where I made chili seasonings. I'll even leave a recipe in the description for chili seasoning if you want to make your own. Me, to save time, I'm just going to use one of these packets, and this is my favorite brand if you want to use this one too. Okay, so after we stir in all of our seasonings, we're going to add 2 cans of beans, drained and rinsed. Then we're going to mix this again. After which our chili is going to simmer for an incredible 3 hours. But if you can do longer, do longer. If you can do 4, do 4. If you can do 5, do 5. Those flavors are really going to develop more. I mean, you know what they say, chili is even better the next day. I mean, sometimes I'll make chili just to eat it the next day because the next day those flavors are going to be incredible. So finally, after a couple of hours, I'm going to serve up a big old bowl of this chili for myself, and of course I'm going to top it with some cheddar cheese. Now I didn't have the sour cream and the scallions and everything else, the crackers I wanted to put on this. That's my fault. Don't you make the same mistakes I did. Go out and get the sour cream, the chives, the crackers, everything to fully load this chili up. That's it for me in this video. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, I'm out.